G'day everybody, where's Wally here? Well, firstly, let's have a real close look up at the lights on the plane from the One More Orbit flight as it flew over the South Pole. Let's just zoom in and have a look and see if we can see a regular pattern to the light, and yes we can. We can even see the red tint to the light, and because that image was taken as a 10-second exposure and there's 13 flashes, that's just a little bit faster than 1 Hertz flash rate. And I want to also give a big thanks and shout out to Cosmic Surfer for bringing this to our attention and helping us validate this image in yet another way as being a real and true image. Wolfie was even so happy when he saw this that he went off and made a few videos from his plane just to show the various aspects of the nav lights and the collision avoidance systems. So I'll play them in a second. And before we do that, I was just going to mention that the One More Orbit Gulfstream is probably a very, very similar plane in the way it's set up. So let's just wander around the plane with Wolfie while we look at some blinking lights. And notice that these lights flash at around 1 Hertz, which is just slightly slower, but very similar to what we saw in the sky.
So this is the external light panel. We have the nav lights, which is the red light on the left wing and the green one on the right and the white on the tail. The beacon, which operates when the engines are running. The strobes, which are white flashes on the wingtips. The wing inspection light, which we illuminate the leading edge of the wing with to check for ice, and the logo lights, which simply illuminates the aircraft registration at night. Here's the beacon. I'll just turn that on and show you. That's the one underneath the aircraft, and what that really does is just alert the ground crew that you're about to start the engines or the engines are running. Again, it's just so bright that it seems to be overpowering the camera in the phone.
Next, I thought we would have a look at the star field and how well it lined up with the track that was taken by the plane. So I loaded up Stellarium and then I set it to the South Pole and took a few screenshots, and then I added the plane track across the image. I just did a little bit of join the dots. That was pretty easy to do. And then so just note that this photo was taken at 8:40 AM on the 11th, and that's a +12 time zone, which comes back to an 8:40 PM on the 10th UTC. So that means that the 0 latitude is around 1:30 on the azimuthal screen, and then I added Mauritius at 57 degrees east of that, and Punta Arena at 71 degrees west. And that all looks pretty good to me. From Hamish Harding's tweets on Twitter, I found a few really interesting images. There's one of the chart that they were planning their escape routes should something go wrong when they were crossing Antarctica. And there's also a few screens showing their navigation courses as they were coming up to the pole crossing. And that looks all very familiar to me on those. So I think those angles match up too. And there's a few more images of some cartoon graphics, or plain porn if you like. And I know one sub of mine is going to have a little bit of a pause and ogle at these things. And finally, a interesting image. This was a shot of a sunset taken from the plane. This was about 24 hours into the flight, where they'd had full sun up until this point, and Hamish is commenting that they're now going to lose the sun for about 20 hours. So yes, interesting. And I just realised now that I was about to wrap up this video that I did see the plane on the tarmac at Punta Arena as it refueled in the middle of the night. So I went looking and I found it. And yes, look at that lovely red flashing light blinking away and reflecting nicely underneath it. So let's count the flashes, and I got 13 to 14 flashes per 10 seconds, which is very close to what this one was that was flying over the South Pole. And Wolfie's was actually around about 10 flashes per 10 seconds, so it was a little bit slower, and it was only like one frame of the 30 frames per second had the flash in it, so it was a really bright, short, sharp flash. This one, however, the red light is on for 8 frames and off for 15. That gives it a 33% duty cycle, and it also means it works out around about 13 flashes per 10 seconds. And if we go back to looking at the very first photo, we were looking at this, yes, that's exactly what we see there, even down to the 33% on-off duty cycle. Man, I'm excited when this works out. And just for comparison of that star field, I also snapped a photo of the Southern Cross just out in my backyard. And yeah, it's a lot lower down in the sky. It's certainly not straight overhead.
Cupboard. Teresa's a good girl.
So if you want more of these things, make sure you click, share and subscribe to get your hand into the cookie jar before everyone else does. Thanks guys, bye for now.
Whittaker's chocolates, Lindt. They go well with coffee. Nougat. I know where she keeps all the good stuff. Oh, jackpot.